Story 1. The formula never changed. In 1992, I took a job at a Coca-Cola bottling plant just outside Macon, Georgia. I was 19. The kind of kid who needed money fast and didn't ask questions. The plant was a concrete monolith at the edge of nowhere, surrounded by tall grass and rusted fences. You didn't need a resume, just a signature and a willingness to work the night shift. They never told us what floor to avoid. It started like any other shift, monotony in motion. Conveyor belts humming like hive insects, machines coughing out bottles in perfect rhythm, the air thick with syrup and chemicals. The syrup was made 2 floors below ground. The vat, they called it. No one wanted to work the vat. The rumors were always the same. The formula used down there wasn't quite the same as the stuff in stores. Not new Coke. Not classic. Something older. Closer to what was first brewed in the 1800s. Closer to whatever the original version was. I found that out on a Wednesday night, 3 weeks into the job, when the supervisor came by with a clipboard and called 3 of us over. That's running low. We need more hands down there. We didn't argue. You don't say no when you work 3rd shift. They led us through a heavy red door marked Formula Storage Level 3. What struck me first was the cold. It wasn't natural. This was a wet cold, the kind that sticks to your bones like a second skin. The stairwell descended forever. At least 6 flights. And the lights down there didn't hum, they throbbed. The vat itself sat in the center of a concrete chamber, massive and pulsing, like a steel heart. Black tubes ran from its base into the walls, slithering like veins. Beside it stood the mixer. We weren't told his name. He wore a red uniform stitched with a Coke patch older than any I'd seen. His face was pale and his eyes were milk glass white. He didn't blink. He handed us gloves and said, "No skin contact. It reacts." I laughed. He didn't. We were assigned tasks, monitor levels, measure additives, stir every 20 minutes. All easy, until I heard something move inside the vat. It wasn't the usual industrial churn. This was wet. Organic. Like something sloshing against the steel from within. I asked what it was. The mixer looked at me. "It's hungry." I thought he was joking. But then the lights flickered, and the vat shuddered. One of the guys with us, Pete, stepped too close. A drop of the syrup splashed onto his arm. He screamed. Not from pain. From what he saw. I saw it. I saw my own face, older, dead, rotting. We tried to wipe it off. It wouldn't come off. His skin bubbled like it was boiling under plastic. Then the mixer grabbed a hose, doused him in neutralizer, and everything stopped. The syrup dissolved. Pete passed out. When he woke, he had no memory of what happened. They sent him home. He never came back. I should have left then. Instead, I stayed and started watching the vat. There were shapes inside it. Shadows. Sometimes I thought I saw faces press against the steel from within, mouths gasping in slow, bubbling horror. The mixer explained one night, in a voice that sounded more tired than human. The original formula had a secret. A bond with something not of this world. A flavor that wasn't found on Earth. When Pemberton made it, he thought he was inventing a drink. He was opening a gate. I laughed. He didn't. We feed it memories, he said. That's why people crave it. It gives you back something you lost, something you didn't know you were missing. That night, the vat opened. A panel on the side hissed, and a small hatch slid free. Inside were rows of glass vials, glowing red like dying stars, each labeled with a date and a name. One said mine. I didn't touch it. I ran. Back up the stairs. Out of the plant. I quit that night. But I still see the mixer sometimes. Not in person. On TV. In Coke commercials. Just for a second. In the background. Smiling. Waiting. And every once in a while, when I take a sip of Coca-Cola, especially from the old glass bottles, I remember things that never happened to me. Faces I never met. Places I never visited. I taste the gate. And something on the other side tastes me back. Story 2. The Cold Machine in Room 39. Back in college, I took a work-study job maintaining the vending machines across campus. It was easy money. Mostly just restocking candy bars, energy drinks, and of course, Coca-Cola. Every dorm had at least one. People joked the machines were more reliable than the plumbing. All of them were normal. Except the one in room 39. Technically, room 39 didn't exist. It wasn't on the campus map, and no RA ever mentioned it. But every so often, I'd get a ticket from the vending software. Unit 39, low stock. Refill required. At first, I thought it was a misfire. A bug in the system. But it happened repeatedly, always after 2 a.m. Eventually, curiosity won. There was an old dorm building no one used anymore, Condor Hall. Condemned after a pipe burst and flooded the first 2 floors. Boarded windows. Graffiti. The smell of mildew so thick it felt like it had weight. I went inside during daylight, just to scout it out. Found a hallway blocked by caution tape. Pushed through. There, hidden behind an old supply closet door, was a metal staircase leading down. And at the bottom? Room 39. It looked like a storage lounge, long abandoned, moldy couches, broken lights, cracked linoleum floor. In the corner sat a vending machine. Fully functional. Cold. Buzzing. Its LED display blinked, ready, in bright red. I stepped closer. It was a Coke-only machine. No other drinks. Just rows and rows of bottles, each perfectly aligned. The labels were wrong, though, off-color, older designs from the 80s, maybe even earlier. Each one had names instead of prices. Names I didn't recognize. Names like Eli Garver, Darla Rue, Father 6. I tried to press 1. The machine rejected me. Display flashed. Not yet thirsty. I refilled it anyway. Opened the hatch. Loaded new bottles from my crate. As soon as I shut the door, the bottles inside changed. Gone were the new labels, replaced again with those strange names. I checked the software log when I got back to my room. Unit 39 had been marked active for 47 years straight. No outages. No maintenance logs. No history of restocks. I told my supervisor. He laughed. Said there was no machine in room 39. You mean the broken one behind the gym? I quit the job the next day. But I didn't stop thinking about it. Weeks later, I was drunk. Alone. And something pulled me back to room 39. I told myself it was a dare. A stupid impulse. A prank. The machine was waiting. This time, it lit up when I entered. "You are thirsty now." I pressed a random name, Lorelei Burns. A bottle dropped. It hissed when I touched it, ice cold, sweating condensation that smelled faintly of ozone. I twisted the cap. Instead of the usual pop and fizz, the room went silent. The air thickened. And then I heard the voice. Faint. Female. Whispering from the bottle's mouth. It said my name. Then, I remember the cold. I remember the burn. "Please take it back." I dropped it. The bottle shattered. Dark liquid spread across the floor. The lights in the room dimmed. And I saw something move behind the glass of the machine. Dozens of faces pressed against the inside of the bottles, eyes wide, mouths frozen mid-scream. All trying to reach out. I ran. Didn't stop until I was back in my dorm. I thought it was over. But the next morning, there was a Coke bottle in my fridge. Same style. Same label. This one read, Matthew Barlow. My name. The cap was half twisted. Like it had been opened. Like something got out. Now, every few days, a new bottle shows up in my room. On the windowsill. On my pillow. In my shower. Each one has a new name. Sometimes I recognize them. People I pass on campus. Someone from my lecture. A professor. My ex. I never drink them. But I can't stop looking. Because one day, I know I'll see a bottle with a name I don't recognize. But it will look exactly like me. And that one will be empty. Story 3. The vending route that never ends. I used to drive delivery for a third-party supplier that handled regional Coca-Cola vending machines. Rural route, dead-end towns, one gas station kind of places. Not glamorous, but it paid better than minimum wage and came with a van and a fuel card. Every Thursday, I'd hit Route 117, which took me through the woods outside Clayton County, Georgia. Isolated cabins, dusty farm roads, and a trail of machines that were always stocked with nothing but Coke. No Sprite. No Diet. Just the red bottle, in all its variations, sometimes in cans with labeled designs I hadn't seen since the 70s. I made jokes about it to the dispatcher. He never laughed. Just said, "Those folks like tradition." But then came the Thursday in October. I was already behind schedule. Tire blew out on the first stop. GPS lost signal halfway through the second. By the time I got to a machine listed as 117 final, the sun had started to set. Only problem was, I'd never seen that stop before. Wasn't on my clipboard. Wasn't on my tablet. But the van GPS showed it plain as day. So I followed it. The road narrowed into dirt. Then gravel. Then pine needles. And then I saw the vending machine, standing alone in a clearing, miles from anything. No buildings. No power poles. Just pine trees closing in around a rusted Coke machine blinking faint red in the dusk. The machine was ancient. Big silver buttons. Mechanical coin slot. The kind of design you'd see in black and white photos from the 50s. But it worked. The lights buzzed weakly. The compressor hummed like a dying animal. The selection read, "Original formula hand bottled." I opened the restock hatch. The inside was bigger than the machine's outer dimensions. Vast, refrigerated, and filled with rows of glass bottles. No labels. Just names etched into the glass in faint white paint. Dozens of them. Some familiar. One said, "Alton D. Collins, delivered 1958. Another, "Eleanor May, delivered 1963. They were cold to the touch. Too cold. I turned to leave. But the forest had changed. The road was gone. No tire tracks. No stars. Only trees pressing inward like lungs about to exhale. My phone didn't work. Neither did the van. The vending machine screen blinked to life again, brighter now. "You have been selected." I laughed. A nervous chuckle. Then I kicked the machine. And it spoke. Not through a speaker. The compressor moaned, forming words. Deep. Metallic. Ancient. Drink. Or stay. I backed up. It clicked. A bottle dropped. I didn't order it. But it rolled into the tray with a heavy thud. My name was on it. Michael Thomas, delivery, tonight. I stood there, frozen. Then I ran. Through the woods, no path, no light. I don't know how I made it out. When I stumbled onto asphalt again, it was dawn. A farmer found me walking barefoot down his driveway, soaked in sweat and shivering. I told him I got lost. He gave me coffee and a phone. When I returned to the company to explain what happened, they said Route 117 hadn't existed for 2 years. They shut it down after a driver disappeared in 2020. His name? Michael Thomas. I laughed. Told them that was me. The dispatcher looked me in the eye and said, "No. That was the other one." I quit that day. But I still get delivery notifications. Emails from no one. All of them saying the same thing. "Your Thursday drop is scheduled. Stock the machine." Sometimes, late at night, I hear the compressor hum from outside my house. I go to the window. And there it is. Standing at the end of my driveway. Alone. Blinking red. Waiting for me to finish the route. Story 4. The Red Room Reward. There was a time when Coca-Cola ran a popular marketing campaign called Coke Rewards. You remember, enter codes from the caps and collect points, trade them in for shirts, discounts, tickets to events. It was innocent, addictive in a harmless way. But there was a version of the program no one was supposed to find. They called it the Red Room. I learned about it from an old coworker at the tech agency I freelanced for, a guy named Jonas who used to mine obscure URLs and expired reward pages for leftover points. He was obsessed with hidden web relics, digital fossils buried behind expired domains and back-end logins. He claimed there was a level deeper than platinum, a tier above VIP. You need 999 caps, he told me, staring into his third energy drink of the day. Then a special code. But it's randomized. They only print one a year. I laughed. One golden cap to rule them all? He didn't laugh back. Jonas vanished a week later. I thought nothing of it at the time. Until I found a Coke bottle on my kitchen counter. I live alone. The cap was off. Inside was a slip of paper, soaked in syrup and nearly dissolved. I peeled it apart, and there it was. RRX 0999-9A9A. Curious, I opened the old Coke Rewards site, expecting a redirect or a dead page. It loaded. The interface was black and red, the Coke logo twisted into a spiral. A blinking box read, "You have been invited. Enter the red room?" Of course I clicked yes. My screen went dark. Then red. Not just the web page. The entire screen. Even the ambient light from the monitor shifted, casting a blood-like glow into the room. My speakers crackled, and then a voice, low and feminine, whispered, "Drink to remember." I thought it was a joke. Then I felt it. The air grew thick, syrupy. And on my desk, where the bottle had been, there was a new one. Glass. Heavy. Sealed with wax instead of a cap. No label. Just an embossed logo on the glass. Red room. My hand moved without permission. I drank. And the world changed. For 37 seconds, exactly, I was elsewhere. In a crimson-tinted theater, endless rows of empty seats facing a stage of mirrors. Behind each mirror, something moved. I couldn't see them, only the outlines. Shifting shapes with hands pressed to the glass. Then the voice again. "They remember you." I woke on the floor, bleeding from my nose. The bottle was gone. So was the cap. On my screen, the browser displayed one final message. "Reward claimed. Return to redeem again." The next day, I started seeing changes in my apartment. Small at first. A light bulb that flickered red. A reflection that didn't move when I did. Then larger things. Scratches on the walls shaped like Coke bottle outlines. A low hum from my fridge. And at exactly 3:33 a.m., my laptop boots up on its own and opens a live stream. It shows the theater. Still empty. Still waiting. Until recently. Now sometimes there's someone in the front row. Wearing my clothes. Smiling. Mouth wide. Eyes empty. I've stopped drinking soda. But the bottles keep showing up. Always full. Always cold. I never open them. But the level inside drops anyway. Like something's drinking from the other side. And the whisper always follows. One more sip. One more show. I don't know what happens if I finish the bottle. But I know what happens if I don't. The mirror in my bedroom has started fogging up on its own. And behind the glass, I can see a theater seat. Empty. Waiting. For me. Story 5. The taste test that never ends. It was supposed to be a nostalgia piece. I was writing for a mid-tier pop culture magazine, the kind that paid just enough to keep ramen in my cabinet and caffeine in my blood. The assignment was simple, a deep dive into the history of the most iconic taste test in advertising history. The Pepsi Challenge. But the real story wasn't about Pepsi. It was about the one test Coca-Cola buried. I'd heard whispers from a former marketing exec who got drunk at a brand launch in Denver. Slurred words, darting eyes talking about version X, a formula that never hit the shelves. They tested it once, he said. Just once. In 1981. Then they locked it away. I thought it was a joke. Until I got an anonymous email. No subject. Just coordinates. And a line of text. You want the truth? Come taste it. I rented a car and drove 3 hours to a derelict Coca-Cola bottling plant on the outskirts of Elkhorn, Nebraska. Barbed wire. Boarded windows. A sign that read, "No entry, government property." There was no one there. Except a single red cooler sitting just beyond the fence. Inside were 6 glass bottles, unmarked, filled with deep black liquid that shimmered red in the light. One was already open. A torn note inside the lid read, "Version X, do not consume." So of course I drank it. At first, the taste was incredible. Like every childhood memory of soda fused into one. Sweet, dark, bubbling with strange warmth. Then it got cold. Too cold. Like my veins were filling with ice water. The world began to tilt. And I remembered things that never happened. A family picnic in a field I've never seen. A dog I never owned. A birthday party where I watched myself blow out the candles. But I was in the crowd, not at the table. Then came the pain. A sharp, drilling pressure behind my eyes. I passed out. When I woke, hours later, all the bottles were gone. My voice recorder was running. It had recorded me talking. But I wasn't speaking English. I played it back at half speed. It was laughter. My laughter layered with others. I tried to shake it off. Wrote the article. Left out the weird stuff. Called it fiction. But every version I submitted came back changed. My editor said I kept inserting lines that weren't mine. Lines like, "The fizz feeds us. The first taste opens the door. We never stop bubbling beneath the cap." I checked my drafts. The lines weren't there. Until they were. Weeks passed. And then I started getting cravings. Not for Coke. For version X. The real one. Every drink I try now tastes flat. Off. Wrong. So I went back. The cooler was gone. But something new had appeared. A vending machine. Rusty. Old. Plugged into nothing. It lit up when I approached. The selection panel read, "Choose your memory." Underneath, 6 buttons. All labeled with moments I remembered from the visions. Birthday 1994. Picnic by the river. The other family. I pressed 1. A bottle dropped. Warm. Pulsing slightly. I didn't drink it. But I brought it home. Now it hums at night. I've tried to throw it away. It shows up in my fridge the next morning. I stopped drinking anything else. Because now, no matter what I pour into my glass, water, juice, beer, it all turns to fizz. Red tinted. Bubbling. And every now and then, I hear the hiss of a cap twisting off. When I check, it's still sealed. But it's closer to my bed. Each morning. Now I get emails from accounts that don't exist. All with the same subject line. Taste again. I know what they want. I know what it wants. Because I tasted it once. And once is enough to belong to it. So if you ever hear about a secret formula, if you ever see a bottle with no label, just a red shimmer and a hum that feels like it's inside your skull, don't drink it. Because the bubbles never stop. They just wait. And when they find you thirsty, they remember your mouth.